So there's a lot of solace in, you know, in kind of just making mess when you're making artwork and just throwing everything on the floor and not worrying about cleaning it up in the moment. So I'm in my studio / my bedroom, and I'm just about to start animating the sequence, which is the theatre sequence, so with the Wailing Wench. I've done about 17 takes so far. This is also joined up with the book sequence, where I've used these little clear elastic threads to turn the pages and make it look like it's turning on its own, which was incredibly exciting. But I made all of these kind of like little paper figures to like animate across the space. Oh, that one's a bit twisted. But to animate kind of moving across the space. And it's just been a progress of like, I've tried out all of these different things, so I've got all these random kind of paper hands on the floor everywhere, and they didn't really work. I also made I didn't make this actually, but I bought a little house from Tiger and I made this bit, the chimney smoke, and it kind of has a little light that turns on, and this was supposed to be the girl's house, but it just didn't really work, so I'm sticking to this at the moment, but I've got the Wailing Wench, but there's only half of the Wailing Wench because you don't need to see her legs or bottom half in this, so we're just having half of the Wailing Wench with all of the song lyrics being dissipated out, and then the mini version of the book coming in, but I've got the theatre all set up, so I'm going to get started on this. And the reason that I've done so many takes is because the last few that I did were just slightly off centre, and then when I was cropping it, it just doesn't work. Like it looks really wonky, and I love a bit of wonk, but it's not good wonky. When I've edited it, it's like it just looks bad. So I am redoing it. I've got to find what I'm trying to find at the moment is like the messiness within the precision, so like finding the preciseness of it, finding the choreography of it, but finding the kind of boldness and the I guess like the freedom within the structure. So that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. Make it real, I'm gonna make it real. Make it real, I'm gonna mark the page. Make it real, I'm gonna make it real. Make it real, I'm gonna mark the page. Make it real, I'm gonna make it real. Make it real, I'm gonna mark the page. Make it real. And the other thing is, does this work? Come on. So when I'm using my little thing, which sometimes goes a bit mad and takes about 100 pictures at once, and then I have all these pictures of my hands in it, see, there we go, taking 100 pictures. For God's sake, stop it, stop. It's showing off for the camera. This is the other thing, do not text me whilst it's all going bad. No. Okay, this is the problem when you're doing it on your phone. There's a certain charm to doing this, but there's also frustration, whereas I just do it, please. And I think out of my takes so far, this has possibly been the longest curtain opening I've done, so I hope that it will look good actually. He was basically saying that you don't really fit in anywhere because your work is live action, but it's also animation, but it's also arty, but you've also got dance, so you don't really fit into a category. And instead of seeing that as something really negative, I was just like, yeah, cool, because actually I'll make my own place. that was kind of exciting to reflect on that and be like, I think potentially in the past I would have cried because I've been conditioned to do so, but I think that now what's really nice is that I recognise that sadness or that crying is actually just this like pent up anger, and I'm so angry. Like I don't show it, but I'm so angry a lot of the time with a lot of stuff that happens, and it gets kind of buried down because I just don't really know how to express that. So I kind of put it into my work, and I guess that's where all the violence kind of comes from. We're introducing the wailing wench now, but that's kind of where the violence comes from, I think, with the I need to do the eyelids as well. With like the pulling out of the eyes and all of that kind of stuff. Right, I'm going to do some eyelids. This is quite tricky, this bit actually. No. Okay, I think I finished. Yay! So I think I finished the animation. I think I finished the first bit of it. And it was so funny because the reason that I'm wearing my shoes, I'm going to take them off actually. The reason that I'm wearing my shoes and my hat and my jumper is because I had the most inspiring walk this morning, and I was listening to really amazing music. I was just in a really great environment, and I was just my imagination was just going wild, and I was like, I have to get home and I have to get into my studio and I have to just do it, like now. I've been reading this book about Mary Wigman. It's spelled Wigman, but I think it's Wigman. She's a German contemporary dance artist, and I've been obsessed with her for years actually. Like since I was at dance school, I was obsessed with her, and she this book is called Ecstasy and the Demon, and it's all about her works. It's all about her dance works. And she's a little bit controversial because she did some choreography for the Nazis in the early 20th century. But I also think, like, there's, that it really kind of frustrates me a lot because we had this lecture at school, I remember, about her and her work. And her work was totally overlooked by the fact that she did choreography for the Nazis. That's like become a thing, and I just think Rudolf Laban did it as well. Like, why do we never talk about that with him? He's got a whole building named after him, and a whole practice which actors and dancers both access, and he's celebrated widely. And I just think it's such a shame that can I be so bold to say that I wonder whether it's because Mary Wigman is a woman. I don't know. Something really empowering about just making work and getting it out there, and it not being perfect, but it being in this energy that you just have to make stuff, and like it's so empowering to do that and to get back from like an amazing walk and coming back in and just like ploughing all of these things that have gone on in your mind like into something and creating action. And to talk about was just her dance Hexentrance just really inspired me, and I think it's because she did about 7 or 8 versions of it. It's really scary, and she used masks, and she kind of just like propels herself through the space and then does all these like really jaggedy movements, and she just really is really raw. And I think that's something that I'm really finding quite incredible about working at the moment, is accessing the raw parts of my practice, and I think not trying to fall into the trap as a woman of finding perfection in everything that I'm creating. My work being messy, things not being coloured in the lines. Actually, I was using Premiere Pro, to animate for a while, and I still do sometimes, but there's something about it which, for me, when I have to go on to Photoshop and cut out the pictures, I see how my drawings or things are just not symmetrical at all, and that's like a bit of a problem when I'm cutting things out and animating them, because it's all about angles and it's all about coordinates and things like that, and with keyframes. The reason that I bring up Mary Wigman is the way that she just put work out there. She made something and then she moved on to the next thing, and then she made something, moved on to the next thing, and she just created this, this catalogue, this history of work. And I find that so inspiring. Of all of these things, and this is why I'm doing these, this little film, is just to make an archive of how I'm working, of what I'm discovering whilst I'm working, who I'm reading about, who I'm inspired by. And I often find that, interestingly enough, even when I'm making films, or when I like to not, and maybe this is bad, but I like to not read things which are directly related to that. So I've got so many books about filmmaking, about animation making, which are amazing, but I quite like to read things about dance whilst I'm animating, or reading things about animating whilst I'm directing live action, or because I find that I then discover interesting ways around achieving what I desire from the stories, rather than thinking quite binary. Those are my thoughts, but I'm very happy that I think I've finished that one. I've written a song for The Wailing Wench, which is what all the lyrics were about. And so I've just got to get that actually out now, into some kind of form. Probably need to take my hat off, and I'm going to record some voice stuff for it, maybe this afternoon. And but my point is that when is just make work. Like, please, I want everyone to just, like, even if you don't think that you can, like, just, it's so empowering to feel creative and to create something that's there and you can see it and you can see what you've made. And I think that in any form that takes, I really urge people to do that, because it's incredibly exciting to engage in. And yeah, I just love it. And I think if we keep passing down these exciting kind of ways of working to each other, all these ideas to each other, if we keep doing that, it's only going to make our work just better and better, and people want to engage with it more and more. So let's just keep teaching each other and learning from each other, and we can only do that by putting out work and making mistakes and being messy. And and not searching for perfection, because it doesn't really exist. Make it real, I'm gonna